Hey, thanks for tuning in today. So, if you guys watched all my other videos, you know I just got back from Utah. So, yeah, that was a lot of fun. Pretty cool stuff over there. Definitely going to go back check out some more stuff. But today, decided we need to get back on track, back on the track. All right. So, when I did all of this stuff for the leaf springs, I figured that this plate right here wasn't squared to the frame. So I had to cut it here and then kind of tapped it over, re-welded it, and then I put in all this extension stuff down here. So now it's parallel to the frame and even and all that good mathematical stuff. So yeah, you could hear my size. This then was out further. So now when I go to put it back together, it is literally on line. So that rail right there and that rail right there hits that one and that one almost dead on. And they need to be on the inside for them to mount. So, excuse me. Now what I'm thinking is, do I go through the work of cutting those welds and sliding them both in just a little bit so that they match up? And then I got to look in, and I don't know if you guys can see, but that is not quite flat. It's got a little tweak to it. And then this part right here is kind of the same way. I don't know if you can really see it, but it's bent back. So that's not a big deal. I could straighten it out, and I was just going to put in a couple of gussets over here on the outside of these bolts, or on the inside, one of the two, probably on the outside. But I'm trying to decide, do I want to go through all the work of that, or do I just want to build my own custom bumper? Not sure. Okay, so after careful consideration and some deep thinking, I figured out that I only need to move one of these. So if you look here, see this basically tight right here, and this one not so much. So I'm just going to go in and I can cut the weld that's in here, cut the weld that's on this tab. Even if I have to replace this tab, it's no big deal. And then there's just some plug welds in here. I should be able to just blow those out with the plasma, then take this piece and shove it over so it touches, weld it all back in. And then this plate right here, what I'll do is I'll just come in here and take all this off. It's flaking off anyways, and then cut a plate, maybe a piece of either the same thickness or maybe like 1/4 inch, and just kind of run it all the way down in here. Obviously re-drill the holes for the winch, and then I'll just weld it all the way around, and then, you know, just set back a little bit right here so I can stitch weld it across the back a little bit, and it should flatten everything out. I think that's gonna be the easiest and fastest. As much as I'd love to build a custom bumper, maybe down the road a ways, but this would be probably the quickest, easiest to get the bumper back on, get the winch on it, so I could verify how much weight and settlement's gonna affect the front end. Alright, so I got it cut off, got everything kind of ground and cleaned up a little bit. So the old majoring tape on here. Only got one hand. I left my tripod and stuff at home. So from the outside to the outside, we're just a smidge under 23, and I think that's what we wanted, because the brackets were 32. I'm being dyslexic again. So it was 32 to the inside of the bumper brackets. So that would be the same as pushing that against the inside of the bumper bracket. and that'll give me just a little wiggle room, and the bolts and washers will square it up, I hope. Alright, so I got that all cleaned up, got a new tab made up, got it all bent up on our press brake, and got the majoring tape, squared this thing up to that one, so then you look, we're on track. I'm gonna weld this thing up. Got the holes all drilled out there, so well, that's about it. We'll take her home and see if she fits. Well, we'll go see how we did, see how our measurements did, and hoping all our little guessets and stuff. I'll get this thing cleaned up, and maybe we'll throw a coat of paint on it this weekend, seeing how the weather is. But anyways, let's go check it out real quick. The brackets that I had, well, one of them I replaced and basically upgraded, I guess fixed. The welds are basically in the way they hit right on the edge, or on the inside edge right here. So we're gonna get those ground up, get this bumper back up in there, and just see how it sits. Probably get the winch back in today, and then check our ride height on this with the springs and everything. I'm starting to think what I may end up doing is maybe just pull one spring out, put it in the rear, see if it'll level it out a little bit. Who knows? Let's get this thing ground up and put on, see where we're at. All right, so got it on here. So all the trimming I had to do, and because when I added these extra plates, they came way out over here, so that's what was all that cutting I had to do. And then I had to trim up here because when I re-welded this, that extra weld in there was holding it up. But we got her on there. Looks like that winch will still fit in here. In theory it should, because nothing really moved, but we're going to go ahead and set it on there and make sure that everything's good before we crank down on this bumper. Alright, well, if you guys remember when we were working on the bumper, I added that extra plate in here for the winch to kind of strengthen this plate because it was a little warped. So now my bolts aren't quite long enough. I've ran them in, and I think I got like a half a turn or so on there, and they snugged up. So definitely not enough thread into the nut. So we're gonna run down to the local hardware store, pick up some replacement grade 8 bolts, and come back, put them in. Alright, so I just got back from the hardware store. I got 4 new grade 8 bolts, flat washers and lock washers, and yeah, I put a really good dose of anti-seize on them, because, you know, as you can see from the rust and stuff on here, we live by the ocean, so the more of that stuff you could put on anything, the better off you're going to be in the long run. Trust me, because I did that when I put this together the first time, and I was able to get all these bolts out by hand. So I don't know if you guys can see in there. Let me see if I can shed a little extra light. So the top of the thread of that bolt just barely sticks through that nut right there, and that's all you need. You don't need to have a, you know, a whole nother bolt sticking out the other end and thread. Doesn't do any good. So, and besides that, if you go too long, then you can run into the casing here of the winch body. But I think we got her. Got them all kind of tightened up with my my ratchet by hand, and I'll go back over them with the torque wrench and make sure they're all tightened up. But we got the bumper back on, so now I'm going to go on the inside and put the nuts on the bolts that went through the bracket that we were just messing with earlier. Okay, real quick, kind of screwed up just ever so slightly. It's not a huge deal. So I got all carried away, got the bolts in there, got them all tight, winches in there snug, and then I was like, where's my winch cable at? Well, it's right here, and it's behind this little bracket and the grill. So I don't know, I might be able to just squeeze it down between there. It's kind of tight, but I think if I just loosen those 4 bolts enough, I can get it down in there and then feed the cable back underneath, or the rope, and then come out through the slot right there. So not a big deal, but just one of those things you get carried away sometimes and forget about the little details. Alright, so I just loosened up all those bolts real quick on the winch. I was able to slide it forward enough to just kind of flatten out that rope, squeeze it back through there, and hey, look at that. Come on, get on out of there. Oh, there it is. Alright, now we're back on track. Okay, so we got the power leads hooked back up to the battery. Yeah, so let's see if it works. Got the winch controller. Hey, look at that. But I kind of need to fix this wrap on here. The last time I used it, it didn't wind back up real even, but we'll do that on another day.